How ready are you for the end of this country?
Today at TayJay Talks, we're going to be discussing the reality of an EMP strike against our nation.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be from a solar flare, I can't remember the exact terminology for it. It's like something emission, well, whatever. It's an electromagnetic pulse that disturbs the Earth's natural magnetic field and essentially causes large amounts of voltage to be sent through every single metal object on the face of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an electrician full time. This is something I understand far too little, but enough that it scares the living hell out of me.
Same. And the first place that I heard about an EMP was actually because as a child I played Call of Duty. And that's like one of your perks, right? Like you get however many kills, like 10 kills in a row and you get an EMP strike. And like it'll take away all of their mini-maps and any red dot that they have in their guns or whatnot. And that was where I first heard about it. But then I was listening to other podcasts and they started talking about end of the world scenarios and you know how we decided to talk about this because we got a request to talk about like a zombie apocalypse, and that just seems like really unlikely. Like I think we would all be so lucky if that was the way it ended.
Yeah. Everyone knows how to survive the zombie apocalypse. Trust me, we've seen plenty of TV shows about it.
Mm-hmm. Just find you a Daryl Dixon and you'll be aight.
Oh gosh, Daryl though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody got a crush on Daryl.
Well, that's because he doesn't speak. He kills.
He kicks ass and doesn't take names. He don't give a fuck.
So basically, he's the ideal apocalypse partner.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, minus the, like, human emotions thing. But I don't think you want that in a zombie apocalypse.
No!
So anyway, yeah, we got on this topic because we got a request from our friend John to discuss a zombie apocalypse in our stream. I guess our most recent stream, but that would be this one. And we wanted to go with something more realistic and apparent. So EMPs, as I've previously stated, come from the basically vibration in our natural magnetic field, the Earth's natural magnetic field. To go a little bit into actual electricity, electricity is created, one of the ways electricity is created is through creating magnetic friction, essentially positively charging electrons. In layman's terms. And when you have something that does that naturally or unnaturally in the form of a nuclear explosion, I'll discuss that momentarily, but a solar flare is something that can cause huge magnetic disturbances as our atmosphere dissipates.
Yeah, it is weakening. Every day our atmosphere is weakening, so that threat gets a little bit higher, and that one I think would even be more scary because we don't know we have no one to blame for that. So that one wouldn't necessarily start like World War III, but
it very well might.
But we'd be America ourselves. The scary part is our power grid is so old, and it's not being updated.
No.
And it's not even on the radar of most politicians because like who cares? We've got bigger problems. Apparently, but
yeah, take the guns.
We've got bigger problems going on right now, so the power grid isn't so much. But once, like people in LA, like the podcast that I was listening to where I had heard about this the most, they were talking about how in LA they have power outages all the time, citywide. So think about that happening permanently. Like most of us probably wouldn't even know for a little while that it was actually something bad until the hospitals started shutting down and everything like that. We probably wouldn't even know until we tried to turn on a car.
Yep. So the way that an EMP works, basically, electrons start falling. I'm going to explain this very, very simply, so that it's not over everyone's head. Obviously, this isn't intended to be a scientific podcast, but more of just a discussionary type thing. So electrons fall, which causes basic voltage spike. So your telephone wires are going, like, telephone wires, your what would you call them? Power cables. The line, your power lines, sure. Your power lines are going to have a large amount of voltage sent through them, right? And at every single telephone pole or termination point into a house, there's a transformer, which steps the voltage down.
It would be like a surge, right? Like a surge.
Yeah, it's a power surge. And the transformers are basically created to step down the voltage so that your house doesn't blow up, right? Now, in larger electrical storms, like thunderstorms or tornadoes, you'll hear large explosions, occasionally see flashes of light that aren't lightning. Those are your transformers blowing up right before your power goes out. That's what would happen everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And in a really a terrifying fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So when lightning hits a transformer, it blows up, but it can be repaired. In an EMP, the arc blast would literally decimate the transformers. There would be nothing left. Literally, you're already on YouTube. Click over, open a new tab. Look up arc blast.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have witnessed 3 in my electrical career that's gone on for 9 months. It's terrifying, right?
Yeah.
Molten metal spraying everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the times that it's happened to me, my face is here. It's fantastic. Great. Horrible experience. Nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the man-made threat. A nuclear blast, roughly 30 kilometers above the center of the nation, Kansas. That's where we live, by the way. Yep. Yeah. A nuclear blast, basically 30 kilometers over where we're sitting right now, would wipe out everything electronic. Nigh on everything electronic. Across the nation, up into Canada, and down into Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been doing a little bit of research on this topic since we settled on it officially. It would take approximately 3 years to have any amount of infrastructure back.
After a nuclear blast?
After an EMP.
Oh, after an EMP.
So,
yeah.
Regardless if it's an EMP from a nuclear explosion above our atmosphere, mm-hmm. or from the sun in and of itself, if it's from the sun, it's not going to be nationwide.
Yeah,
it is worldwide.
Yeah.
It is, depending on the size of the solar flare, it can knock out 100% of electronics across the world. And as I stated before, the way that an EMP happens is the magnetic waves, the magnetic field around the Earth basically bobs and waves. I'm not 100% sure on the science behind it, but if it's big enough, it could potentially permanently throw the magnetic field out of whack.
And with an EMP, it would be an act of war if somebody did this.
Yeah.
And what really sucks about that, ideally, if the EMPs drop, they'll probably do it over our major cities. So like New York City, Miami, Los Angeles.
They don't have to.
Would it be bigger than that?
It would. They have to detonate one bomb. It has to be very, very big, like 100 kilotons,
mm-hmm.
megaton, whatever. I think it's megaton. 100 megatons, 30 kilometers above the center of our nation, mm-hmm. would wipe out power across the board, blanket effect.
Okay.
All the continental United States.
Okay, so I was under the impression that they were smaller, which even still, that's still, all of it would still be really scary. But the first people to go would be people in airplanes and people on life support.
Yep.
And then elderly people. Yes. And then elderly people who are relying on people to get to them to take care of them, stuff like that, who can't get access to medications, whatnot. And then after that, it's just people killing each other because we can't transport food, so there's going to be looting and everything like that, and people trying to rush to get out of major cities to try and avoid people who are looting and everything like that. So that'd be the
societal collapse.
Yeah, so they say in the first year, 90% of the American population is gone. Like, there's just 10% of us. So if it takes 3 years to put back any infrastructure, it'd be because there's nobody left. And then it would just be the tiny communities throughout the nation that are still left, still standing, that would have to rebuild.
Something I find interesting, if a coronal mass ejection, I believe, is the correct term for a large solar flare, or even just a small. Coronal mass ejection is a solar flare, is the scientific term. If a large enough solar flare were to occur to the point where the whole world is affected, a large portion of third world countries would very quickly become new world power.
Yeah.
Because
they know how.
They don't rely on electricity. They don't care. Like, look at most of Africa.
Yeah, or like Haiti would figure it out, stuff like that. But it's
Puerto Rico. They don't need electricity. They don't have it. It's fine. They're fine. They figured it out.
That makes my
That's another tangent.
That makes my vein pop out. But anyway, and it's not necessarily America's fault that we're so reliant on technology. That's how you get ahead in this country. Like, if you're an electrician, you wouldn't have a job if you weren't attached to technology.
100%.
We wouldn't be doing this if we weren't attached to technology. It's how you get ahead in first world countries and how you later on become the 1%. We were just talking about Ben Shapiro earlier. His platform is entirely on the internet.
Yeah.
So it's everything like that. So, or anytime we have a fun story about Trump, it's because it's something he said on the internet.
It's something he tweeted, which he couldn't do. Another reason why America would collapse if electrical components were fried. Trump couldn't tweet. What would Trump do? Probably go golfing. But how would he get there? By plane?
Nah, his minions would carry him there.
Alright! Form a human train! Crowd surfing!
Basically. Trump.
That's another tangent for another time. So, in doing my own research on the threat of an EMP strike, a large percentage of the videos that I have consumed were doomsday preppers, basically.
Yeah.
And honestly, can't blame these guys. Like, okay, a lot of preppers are just a little off.
Well, they got too much money and they don't know what to do with it, so they throw it into building giant shelters, which honestly, it's like watching videos like that, it feels like being in like the 50s or 60s again, when we're Cold War America.
Yeah.
So it's us basically preparing. We got to dig a hole in our ground and just figure it out from there and start stocking up food and everything like that, and because we would be on non-perishables.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because there's no eggs, milk, unless you've got a cow. So
well, there's eggs.
Well, there's no way to get them to regular people.
My parents have chickens. We're fine. Y'all are fucked. We're fine.
Or defending yourself against people who are going to come to your home and are going to steal from you, because that is the way that it's going to be. It's New World Order.
You got a stun gun, right?
I do have a stun gun.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
It isn't. It isn't.
No.
That is a pulse of its own. So, you know.
Maybe you should take the stun out of gun and go pew pew.
I could throw it at somebody.
Oh.
It's heavy.
That's like Florida arming their students with rocks to defend against school shooters.
You know.
Well, another tangent. another time.
Well, that's what they say is like, oh, we throw our backpacks at them. Well, you?
No. If you throw your backpack at them, they're not gonna be able to see it coming.
Yeah.
Right, because all backpacks have to be clear now, so that you can see if there's a gun inside of it. Thanks, David Hogg.
Fucking stupid. No, he didn't put that.
No, he's protesting against it. I hate the kids, so.
Just like metal detectors. Which wouldn't work in an EMP strike.
Nope. So many schools immediately shut up because guns still work.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Or like think of how many people wouldn't know what to do, how to get out of a grocery store because the
God help does not open.
Like, I could just imagine, if I still worked at Hy-Vee, like, I could just see, like, all the people just, like, walking near the door. Like, towards it, back out again.
Please, turn on, open. You've done this for years!
Yeah.
But, not anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the craziest part about it, is I think that most people wouldn't even know it's happening until like, they, like, go to check their cell phone. And they're like, oh, that's odd. Usually when the power goes out in the house, you still have your phone or, like, your Kindle would work. I think that would be, like, the main thing for my mom. Would be, like, something's up because her Kindle would shut off.
So, something that's interesting to note, if, say, we'll use Hy-Vee as an example. Now, the Hy-Vee that you worked in is primarily run off of LED fixtures. But if it was, say, hypothetically, run off of the incandescent fixtures or metal halide, halogen, like higher duty, heavier duty lighting, they would explode. Every single one would explode into a shower of sparks because the amount of electricity that's running through it is so,
I mean, I guess that makes sense, yeah.
beyond substantial.
The surge would be so crazy that it would just explode all the lights. That'd be nuts. I don't know.
It would be terrifying. Every single transformer along the power lines would arc blast, which is terrible. I know you haven't experienced it firsthand. I have multiple times.
Would it explode
yes,
into pieces?
Yes.
Wow.
The entire thing would turn
I
into
got a
molten metal.
transformer in my backyard. We have the neighborhood transformer in my backyard, so
there would be a crater.
Wow.
There would be a crater. Something that's particularly terrifying to me, all the wiring is going to get a very temporary surge. Mm-hmm. But the amount of house fires that could cause is ridiculous.
Yeah. People would be forced onto the street.
Yes. Yeah, because their houses would go up in flames and there's
no one coming to save them.
Because emergency services no longer exist. 911 isn't a thing. The police.
And it's not like we can call the troops and be like, hey guys,
please help.
We're under attack or something. So like there will be no organization of the US for a very long time.
So something that I would like to point out is the fact that this is, while terrifying, highly unlikely. Coming from another nation. Mm-hmm. If it was a nuclear EMP blast, it is extraordinarily unlikely. Now, I'm probably going to get a little bit of flack for that, but realistically, the nations that could nuclear strike us, causing an EMP blast, is very minimal. I believe the last list that I looked at, the most recent list, was 8 countries that we know of, that we know of, have the capability to cause an EMP blast to just our nation and parts of Canada and parts of Mexico. The issue with that is the fact that it would be through an intercontinental ballistic missile. Mm-hmm. Almost definitely through an intercontinental ballistic missile. Everyone in the world would see it.
Yeah, and we have bases all along our coast that look for that kind of shit, so it's...
Well, and regardless of that, say we get hit. Say everything fails, we get hit. all of our allied nations would just decimate them. They would no longer exist. Their whole country would be gone.
Yeah, like if Iran did it, they would just be a hole.
Yeah.
After that.
Yes.
So.
What I find a little more terrifying is North Korea. Now, I'm just going to use them as an example. I don't think they have this capability or the drive to do so because North Korea doesn't have any real friends. So if they did this, every person in the world, the whole fucking world, would bomb them. They wouldn't. The whole Korean peninsula would be sunk. Sorry, South Korea.
Yeah, who needs K-pop anyway?
But anyway, they've launched a satellite which orbits the Earth at 30 kilometers.
North Korea did?
Roughly. North Korea did.
Sus.
Which is the exact altitude necessary for an EMP strike, for a nuclear strike to cause an EMP blast.
Yeah.
That's what's more terrifying to me is something seemingly benign wiping out America.
Mm-hmm.
Or half of Europe. Or Russia. I'm not going to just include the US. This is a global catastrophe. Any nation could be hit. It's unlikely. What is more likely is a solar flare. Because that shit happens. And typically...
we're protected from it because we have an atmosphere that is so...
yeah, and normally they're not going to be so catastrophic.
Yeah, but if that's one of the like more likely ways the world will end because it'll be so global.
Yeah.
That when it hits, I don't even really know what a solar flare is necessarily. I just know that we're usually protected from that kind of thing because they happen all the time.
So solar flares are created when there's a buildup of magnetic energy and it's violently released. If you look at pictures or videos of the sun, you'll typically see like the little spurts, explosions. They're like little loops, basically.
Yeah, coming out of the sun.
Those are solar flares, and the reason why the fire is being pulled back in is because it's magnetic, right? Also, gravity is a thing. A theory, but a thing.
What? It's a theory? White people.
Mexicans.
Flat earthers.
Oh my god, we're not even gonna fucking go there.
Would a solar flare hurt us if the earth was flat?
Next week on TayJay Talks.
Flat earthers. Complaining about flat earthers.
They're just gonna bitch about dumb people.
Oh my god.
Y'all are fucking stupid! Not discounting your intelligence, flat earthers. I'm perfectly capable of having a rational discussion with you.
I think it's dumb because I believe anything. Like, but it's... and so,
yeah, motherfucker, the earth is flat! Yeah!
what benefits?
Well, see, here's the thing. 9/11 was an inside job, the moon landing was faked, and Hillary Clinton is gay.
We'll talk about 9/11 being an inside job after this video is over. Some facts. Anyway, so we learned about solar flares.
Yep. Yeah, basically just a giant eruption of magnetic energy in the form of radiation. And again, like I said, it just basically shakes our magnetic field.
And I'm guessing they're opposites because it pulls away. Our atmosphere is opposite, so it would...
not necessarily. It's more that it's being bombarded by, so it causes ripples. It's like if you punch a fat person, they ripple. I'm fat, I can say this, it's fine. If I punch Taylor, nothing's gonna happen. Well, internal bleeding, but...
No, I got abs. No, I don't. That's fine.
So, anything else? Any further points?
Well, I mean, I think the best thing that you can do to kind of not necessarily protect yourself, but this is just like basic life things that I think people our age need to know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to get here without Apple Maps.
Yeah.
And I've been here a few times. So it's the genuine reliance on this little device that we keep in our hands that would be completely gone. And if I'm at work and something like that happens, I have no way of contacting anybody that I live with or any of my friends or anything like that to like make sure that people are okay or how I'm gonna get home or anything like that, because the traffic is gonna be so bad. Like, even if the car does work, it's
gonna be hell.
It's gonna be rough, so you're better off walking, and then even if you do that, you're gonna get shoved down by some bullies.
Thugs, looting thugs,
Mm-hmm.
them fucking anarchists. So, basically what she's touching on is have an exit strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter where you are, everyone has a core group of friends, right? Talk to them, discuss with them your strategy, your meetup plan. If anything happens, it doesn't have to be an EMP strike, you know. If anything bad happens, where do you go?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you all converge, right? And, you know, say it's not an EMP blast. Say someone gets hurt, hospitalized, on life, like a bad situation. Have a place where you all know to meet. You've got to have one. That's one of my biggest things, and why I tend to make wherever I'm staying, wherever I'm living, at that time, a safe place for anyone to be. It doesn't matter if I like you or if I hate you. Where I'm at is okay to come to. And like Taylor said, you need to know how to get there. Period.
Yeah.
You don't have to know how to get there from where you're at, but basic understanding of your surroundings is essential.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that where you're at right now is north and a little east of where you need to go, then you would need to go south and west.
Yeah.
And how do you get there?
Yeah, see, I don't even... Nope. Can't even tell you which way I'm facing right now.
We're facing the camera.
Well, obviously, but like directions...
I'm sure it's northwest. South by southwest.
Great.
I have no fucking clue.
I'm gonna die in an apocalypse.
You and me both. And we're not gonna die together.
No, and
we're gonna die on separate sides in the city.
I'm gonna get hit by Merlin. It's just...
Oh. So, thanks for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all we have for today, so check us out next week. This has been TayJay Talks. I'm Jake. And
Taylor.
This is Taylor. Sometimes, we think. Oh, I'm pretty damn sure. Alright, guys. Till next week.